You're watching America's sports leader, NBC.
Gwen Torrence. Gail Devers, two names forever linked. Their accomplishments can only be measured in each other's presence.
Gail Devers, but here comes Gwen Torrence. Torrence goes in front. Devers trying to hold on. And Torrence to the line. Gail Devers repeats as the 100-meter champion.
Today, these rivals face off for the first time in 1997. Who will be the world's fastest woman today? Last summer, local star Alan Johnson became a world star at the Olympics. The goal this year is a world record. And Lawrence Johnson, Lojo, attempts to put American pole vaulting back on top. The Mobil Invitational is next. The George Mason University Fieldhouse in Fairfax, Virginia, the greater Washington, D.C. area. Packed today for one of the big events in indoor track and field, the Mobil Invitational. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fairfax, Virginia. Tom Hammond, joined by Olympic champion Mike. The finish line here, some would say it's a cage. You have to scale a ladder to get up there. I had these visions of headlines. Michael Johnson injured while serving as NBC commentator. I'm going to use a pole vault maybe to get up here next year. But, Michael, I know one of the things you'll be looking at in the meet today is, of course, the 400 meters.
Right. A few weeks ago, you saw what it takes to win the 400 on the bank track. Today, we'll see two of the biggest quarter milers in the business here on this flat track, and Dave Dopek, who stands 6'5", and Jason Rouser, who stands 6 feet 6 inches tall. It'll be interesting to see these two guys on this flat track with these tight curves that aren't banked.
A flat track on which you ran so well just a year ago on your way to the Olympic 400, 200 double. And Carol, I guess, though, the real marquee matchup of the day is Gwen and Gail, first meeting 1997.
Well, I'll tell you, the last time we saw those two athletes together, it was in Atlanta. What a pressure cooker it was. It was Gwen Torrence at her hometown, and it was Gail Devers, again, winning the Olympic gold medal. But here today, these athletes always say, if you talk to them together, you talk to them apart. They say we're not rivals. We do not hate each other. But I'll tell you, you put them together like Ali and Frazier, you know, they bring each other to a different level.
And right now, Craig Masback is with one half of the rivalry. He's with Gail Devers. Craig?
Thanks, Tom. Maybe Everett Navratilova would be another reference point. Gail Devers, a couple of early season losses in Europe and a sore leg. Are you ready to go today?
We'll see. I'm testing. I'm being very cautious. I don't want to leave here on a stretcher. I definitely wanted to come here and perform for the fans. I really wish, you know, that I was 100%, you know, but we'll see. I mean, I'm still going to go out there and give it my best effort.
So many great matchups between you and Gwen Torrence. Do you just go to another level when you're racing against Gwen?
I mean, I know anytime I step on the track, the competitors that are there are always going to be ready to compete, and it's always a good matchup race for the fans. And that's, I mean, it doesn't make me do anything any different in my training, but I know that it's going to be something exciting for the fans, and I think that's important for the sport of track and field.
We're definitely looking forward to it here. Go warm up. We'll see you a bit later. Tom?
All right, Craig, we will see them later. We will see Gwen and Gail, but first, the women's 60-meter hurdles. And in this race, we have Cheryl Dickey, who was an Olympian last summer, though she was eliminated in the second round.
She was eliminated in the second round, but it was a big jump for Cheryl Dickey. She's been around a long time, but she's running very well. She's running very confident. She's the 97 American leader in the hurdles. In fact, on Thursday, she ran in Sweden, and she made it back here in time, and she was second at Melrose. She's running very well.
And also here is Linda Good, a two-time Olympian, 7th in Atlanta last summer.
Good has been very consistent over the years. She's always been good, but has never been able to break through and establish herself as one of the great ones. She has a lot of indoor experience. I think she'll probably feel pretty confident today with Devers in the 60 flat.
And here are the lane assignments. In lane 2 is Lavana Florial, who was a silver medalist at the 93 World Indoor Championships and the 92 Olympics. Cheryl Dickey in 3, Linda Good 4, Dawn Bowles 5, and Tanya Williams in lane 6.
This should be a very good race. I think all the American girls are just trying to find their way. It's a new year. It's almost like a new rebirth after an Olympic Games. And we might be looking at the next great American hurdler here.
Stand up. Lane 5.
And they'll stand up, and as they make their way back to the blocks, Michael, it gives us a chance to ask you about false starts. So what do those do to your mind when you're so focused? And we've seen that picture of you, the picture of concentration in the blocks. What does a false start do to you?
Well, it looked like Don Bowles with the false start there, and I think that, you know, most of those competitors in there are veterans, and you should plan for these kind of things. You know that going in, there's a possibility of a false start, and when that happens, you got to just recall, get back in the blocks, and focus, refocus, and get ready to go again.
Set.
Fair start this time with Dickey, Good, and Bowles. They continue to come with Cheryl Dickey showing the way. Here is Cheryl Dickey to win.
You know, Tom, Cheryl Dickey is running very well. She's running very confident, like I said before the race. And the thing is sometimes you wonder if you're making that trip from Europe back to the United States, if you're going to indeed be able to run as well, because sometimes you get caught in that jet lag situation. But Cheryl is running very well, and she is in control of the race here and is just trotting right across the line.
The start looked pretty even to me. Everybody got out well, but that's where the kind of confidence that a Cheryl Dickey can win this race, that's where that comes from. She didn't get out faster than anyone else, but she just held her composure, ran the hurdles the way she was taught to, and just ran through the finish line and won with confidence.
Well, no, Cheryl is 29 years old, and she has some very good technique. That's important.
So let's go down to Dwight Stones is with us today to interview Cheryl Dickey. And obviously Cheryl is not there yet, making her way over toward him. All right, so while he waits Cheryl, we will check in with Dwight on the field events today. He'll tell us about the high jump competition. Dwight, what about that?
This is Amy Acuff, the senior at UCLA. She's also the NCAA indoor and outdoor record holder. Her third attempt at 6 feet 4 inches. She was not leading at this point in the competition. But her third and final attempt, with a slight brush on the way down, the 6'2" Acuff clears and wins the women's high jump competition. At 6 feet 2 inches in height, Amy has a great advantage over a lot of the other jumpers. And right here, watch the last two steps, lightning fast. And when she is on like that, she jumps extremely well. Look at how quick she is from the right to the left. And that is what made the difference on that jump. Her best jump of the afternoon, and it gives her the victory here at the Mobil Invitational once again. She's the one that's always said to me, Dwight, I'm going to be the first woman to jump 7 feet. Amy wins it. Angie Bradburn second, and Natasha Gibson third. Tom?
All right, Dwight, Amy Acuff with the high jump title here at the Mobil Invitational. And they're setting the hurdles now for the men's hurdle race. Cheryl Dickey wins the women's 60-meter hurdles. 8 seconds flat. Tanya Lawson second. Lavona Floreal finishing third. And in the men's field, of course, is Alan Johnson. And today marks a homecoming of sorts for the Olympic gold medalist from nearby Burke, Virginia. High school football player who ran his first indoor meet ever here at George Mason, and this season has his sights set on a world record.
One thing that'll lose me, I want to break the world record. I want to more than just break it by 1 or 2 hundredths of a second. I want to try to demolish it. If you look at every other event in track and field over the past 16 or so years, there has been a significant drop in the world record, except for the hurdles. So I think it's time now for the hurdles to have a drop similar to that, and I'm going to be the one to do it.
Not long ago, Alan Johnson stepped off this very track and into Olympic history. This now confident and cocky champion wants to step out from the shadow of another very famous man named Johnson.
Mike is Mike. Mike has done a lot of good things. He's done something that no other man has ever done in the history of the Olympic Games. I mean, you know, I tell them my name, I say I'm Alan Johnson. And they say, I've heard of you. Are you the one with the gold shoes? I say, oh, no, I'm the one that ran the hurdles.
Well, Michael, you do cast a long shadow, but I guess in his own discipline, Alan Johnson has become one of the very best, and interesting to see his development from very shy to almost cocky, confident for sure.
Right, he's established himself as one of the few athletes who can step on this track and intimidate his opponents and make them immediately compete for second and third place. And that's a big confidence builder for Johnson. That has given him just about the right amount of cockiness that needs to be there in order to win the sprints, and that's what he's done. And I think that that's helped him this season. We're starting to see it more in his races on the track as well as on his demeanor off the track.
Alan Johnson, the big favorite in this race as you look at the lane assignments, and in lane 5 is Robert Foster of Jamaica, who was a semifinalist last year at the Olympics where Alan Johnson won the gold medal.
1994 NCAA indoor champion for Fresno State. And I think you make a good point, Michael, that the demeanor is different. But what I like about Alan Johnson, when I spoke to him earlier, he said, you know, I'm still working on the fundamentals. I got to work on my start. I'm not happy with my start thus far this indoor season.
He's definitely a student of the sport, and that'll help him in this race as well as chasing that world record that he's been after.
Set. Stand up, please. Lane
And
3.
another false start.
That was a little too good a start there for Alan Johnson.
You know, sometimes a guy will do that just to draw his competitors off, and a veteran like Alan Johnson probably has that kind of plan. He knows he's got some young guys in this race, and he knows that he can mess with their minds a little bit with this false start because some of them aren't prepared for that.
Well, he may have been going for that fast time. One thing he also said was that this is a fast track. He likes this track. Ever since high school, he's been running here. This will be his 4th straight victory here if he wins today.
See, bent over there, you got to look at that necklace he wears. It says A. It's got a big A around there, and he says he only wears it for races. It gives him special powers.
That's right. He takes it off during training so it can recharge, he says.
This is Alan's hometown. He and his mother have been coordinating quite a few charity events over the weekend that he's been involved in. The great thing for the kids, they enjoy seeing him.
Stand up.
And another false start.
And I think you're right, Michael. You know, he definitely threw the others off of their game plan a little bit by coming out early the first time.
No false start charged that time.
Usually that means that there was something with the starter's gun, and those kind of things happen. And as a veteran, you have to be ready for those things and just get back in the blocks, regain your focus, and get ready for the races if nothing has happened.
Of course, what we don't want to see is a rerun of a Grand Prix track event down in Atlanta last year where there were, what, 7 false
That was ridiculous,
starts.
wasn't it? Alan, very familiar with this track and has won the Mobil Invitational here the last 3 years. Set the meet record 7.44 in '95, so looking for 4 straight wins on this, his home track.
I was thinking about Alan last year. He ran too many races, and I think he learned a valuable lesson from that. And as he matures, he'll probably start running less races and build the quality of his race.
And it's a fair start this time. Alan Johnson in lane 3. And Johnson moves out with Flowers there. It'll be Alan Johnson easily winning this meet for the 4th straight year.
A very, very fast gun. The starter wasn't going to take any chances that time. Left everybody a little bit frozen in the blocks.
Johnson's just on automatic right here. I mean, he knows he's got the victory in hand, and these guys are really not in the class that he's in. So I think that he ran this race probably much more comfortably and confident than he has before. The start was pretty even. Actually, the guy in lane 4, Shannon Flowers, got out with him, but Alan's a veteran and got that kind of experience that he didn't let it throw him off and just ran his race.
Excellent look at the concentration that this event takes. Remember, Alan Johnson said this is a fast track. Well, a fast track means those hurdles come up at you very, very quickly, but he made all the right adjustments.
And Alan Johnson's with Carol Lewis.
Well, we had to drag Alan Johnson over here. He's got some people from his high school and a lot of fans here. What's it like? You're Olympic champion now. You're competing in a place you competed in your first ever indoor meet.
It's great as always. George Mason's my home. I love coming here, and I always love trying to perform for my friends and family.
Well, you know, everybody up in the booth was talking about how you changed, how much more confident you are. Well, I saw you on a commercial for hockey with Sergei Fedorov. What was that like?
It was fun. It was really cold because we were out on the ice rink. All I had on was what I'm wearing now, and it was about 35 degrees out there. But it was a lot of fun. I got to meet Sergei Fedorov, learn a little bit about hockey.
Well, a lot has changed for you, Alan Johnson, but you're still #1 in the hurdles. Congratulations. Back up to Tom.
And the hometown favorite wins 7.57. Harrington second and Flowers finishing third. Well, coming up, the men's 400, including 6'5" Dave Dopek coming off his lifetime best. We'll find out if Michael Johnson is worried. Welcome back to the Mobil Invitational. Last year at this meet, Michael Johnson ran 45.32, the fastest indoor 400 ever run on a flat track. So we asked Michael to explain the differing strategies of running on flat tracks and bank tracks.
The flat track is much harder to run on versus the bank track. On bank tracks, the main concern is getting to the pole first, blocking the path of your opponent, giving you control of the race. On the flat track like this one, the curves are much more difficult to maneuver. You have to anticipate the curve as you approach it and adjust your speed slightly, slowing down for the curve. One good thing about the flat track is you can make more than one move because of the longer straightaways and the ability to go outside on the curves, which you can't do on the bank tracks. But if you don't adjust your speed on the curve, you could lose control, and then you can forget all about winning the race.
And Michael, there's the man you mentioned earlier, Dave Dopek.
Dave Dopek was a wrestling letterman in high school. He's going to have a hard time wrestling with these tight turns on this flat track. He's got good 200-meter speed because he was a 200-meter runner before moving up to the 400. But if he doesn't control it on these curves, he could have that speed work against him.
And we talked about his height, 6'5", but Craig, Jason Rouser just next door is even bigger, 6'6", the tallest world-class 400 runner.
And a beautiful thing to see when you see him go down the backstretch in an outdoor race, but he's got to control that stride on these indoor flat turns.
And here are the lane assignments. Rouser 3, Dopek 4. In lane 5, Dion Miner, like you, Michael, a former Baylor Bear.
Yeah, he's a former training partner of mine. He's got a lot of indoor experience from at Baylor, but he's changed coaches now. He's in a new environment, and that's always something that changes up things and takes a little while to get used to.
Michael, which is a better indoor world record, your flat 45.32 here or your 44.63 on a bank track?
Definitely 44.63.
Well, it's faster.
I have to question whether Jason Rouser is 6'6", 177 pounds as he's listed.
You think he's bigger?
I think he's bigger.
It's unlike the NBA where they inflate their height a little bit.
Two-turn stagger here. They'll break after the second turn.
And you can see Dopek in the blue fighting that turn as he went around almost into the lane outside of his.
And Dave Dopek is taking the lead. Final lap. Dopek is in front. Dion Miner is there in second place. And Monnier is third. Final turn, and Dave Dopek continues to lead.
He looks very vulnerable as they come to this home stretch.
Dion Miner moving alongside the challenge. Here they come to the home straightaway. And Dion Miner coming up, and Miner and Dopek hit it right together.
Looked like Miner to me. Great race by Dion Miner. He was in perfect position.
Dopek just seemed to start struggling down the backstretch on the second lap, and you could see his stride shorten tremendously.
But Dopek used a lot of energy right here getting into the pole position. But Dion Miner just kind of let him have that pole position and bided his time. You'll see right here, this is where Dopek used all of his energy, getting the pole position, which we're always taught to do, but you don't want to use too much energy there, especially when you've got a guy like Deion Miner who's got good 200-meter speed.
Deion Miner, who is 92 and 95 NCAA indoor champion for Baylor, just edging Dave Dopek here in the 400 meters in 46.44. Now for a report on the field events, let's rejoin Dwight Stones. Dwight?
Lawrence Johnson on the runway. 1996 Olympian, 8th at the Olympics in Atlanta. That made him very unhappy. First attempt at 18.2.5, and terrific hip height on that jump. Just brushed it with his arm on the way over. We'll see on the point of view. Look at the hips as they go out of the screen. Plenty of height, but look at that with his right arm. He almost dislodges the bar. But it's a good clearance for Lawrence Johnson. He's really got his sights set on the world record this season.
All right, Dwight, and of course last year Julius Achon, now a junior at George Mason University, used a popular win at this meet as a stepping stone toward the NCAA Indoor Championship.
Last year, George Mason's Julius Achon brought the home crowd to its feet, winning the mile. He tries to defend that title next. And still to come, the showdown between Gail Devers and Gwen Torrence. Barcelona marked their first Olympic battle as Devers won at a photo finish to become world's fastest woman.
Gail Devers and Gwen Torrence race head-to-head with a trip to the World Championships on the line. The USA Indoor Track and Field Championships next Saturday on NBC.
We're back in Fairfax. Official results in the men's 400 meters. Deion Miner, 46.44. Dave Dopek second. Jude Monnier finishing third. The George Mason University's Julius Achon of Uganda goes for back-to-back wins in the mile at this meet. And now all the world's milers have a new record to shoot at. That's the subject of this week's Chase Moment.
Morocco's Hisham El
And they're lining up in preparation for the mile. Jason Pyra was second to Julius Achon here last year and went on to make the U.S. Olympic team. And earlier today they ran the Masters Mile, and here's a familiar face coming down through the home stretch as Steve Scott wins in American Masters record time.
Thank you very much.
And Steve Scott is with us now. He joins us in the booth for this mile run. Well done, well done. And of course he is the American indoor and outdoor record holder, and pretty amazing that that record, the indoor record, has stood since 1981.
That's right. And a lot of people, a lot of good people have made cracks at it. Marcus O'Sullivan, from Algeria, Nordine Morsali. So it stood around for a long time.
And here are the competitors sent on their way in this mile run.
And I don't think the mile record is in jeopardy here tonight.
And Steve going out making bold predictions. That amazing world record, 3:48.45 by El Garouche. And I think he's going to be very tough outdoors for Nuruddin Morsali. He just is burning with passion to make up for that Olympic Games disaster.
Oh, absolutely. And I felt like he had the opportunity to beat Nordine in the Olympic final. And it was unfortunate because we never saw what was going to happen.
We've got a rabbit in this race, Mark Pryor, a pace setter who goes out to take the early lead. Terrence Harrington, the veteran, is in there second. And Tolgisi of Hungary is currently third. Behind the rabbit, the pace setter Mark Pryor.
Pryor asked to run 1:57 for the first half mile. John Cook, the organizer of the Mobil Invitational, saying he wants to see an honest mile race, not just one that comes down to a finishing kick.
This typically is not a real fast track. I mean, the track record is 3:54 by Nordine, but typically you see this race run in anywhere from 3:57 to 3:59.
3:57 or thereabouts, the winning time last year for the man in second, Julius Achon.
And there is Achon, the home favorite, who moves within striking distance behind the rabbit. He is there with Tolgisi of Hungary.
This is one of those you pick 'em races. There's a number of athletes in this race that really truly have the opportunity to win, and Julius Achon, one of them, Ibrahim Auden, another one, Niall Bruton, and then Jason Pyra as well.
Bruton being coached by one of your living back in Dublin, and Coughlin had to call and get Bruton into this race. Bruton, a disappointing race at Millrose, not winning there.
And it's funny because Jason Pyra is being coached by my coach, Irv Ray. So
it's a family affair.
It is a family affair.
Tolgisi of Hungary has the lead. Passmore Firusa of Zimbabwe is second. Julius Achon, the defending champion, is in there third. Brian Hyde and Auden are there as they continue their run down the backstretch behind the leader, Balish Tolgisi of Hungary, a semi-finalist at last summer's Olympics.
Better known as an 800-meter runner. He's the Big 8 champion last year for Nebraska. And I think Achon, the man in green, is running an intelligent race. He's let the others make lots of moves, and he's remained fairly relaxed right now in third place.
Tolgisi continues to lead. Firusa is second, and Achon is currently third.
With the pace, it's going to come down to who's got the best positioning, who's got the best kick of the last 200. It's a very, very comfortable pace. They didn't really follow the rabbit, and the 156, I think, kind of went out the window early.
Right around 2 minutes at the 800-meter mark. Now coming up on the 3/4 mile. And Steve, great courage shown by you as you set the American record Masters today, having come back from a bout with cancer, testicular cancer. You feeling better now?
Yeah, things are actually coming along quite nicely. I didn't really anticipate running the record. All I wanted to do was win the race and run respectable. And with 200 meters to go, I felt I had the opportunity to do it, so I went for it.
Well, now just the race you said would develop, a pick'em race with everybody in it, coming up to 1 lap to go.
And here's Julius Achon with the bell lap, who moves out to take the lead. He's the George Mason University junior who won here last year. Passmore Firusa is their second, right behind Achon.
Firusa known more as a steeplechaser when he ran for LSU, and he just can't match the turnover of Julius Achon, also an excellent 800-meter runner.
And the home crowd again loves it as Julius Achon will win back-to-back miles.
Boy, I tell you, that home track knowledge really comes into play. He knows how to run these turns, knows when to make the move, and it was obvious. He made a very strong tactical move with a lap to go, and no one could run him down.
Well, Steve, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on your Masters Mile record and on your courageous and inspirational comeback from cancer.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now let's go down to Dwight for more action in the field events.
All right, Tom, this is Dean Starkey. Just missed making the Olympic team in 1992. 5 vaulters jumping at 19 feet a quarter inch. This is Dean Starkey's third attempt. This would be a personal best for Starkey if he were to clear. His best 18.8 1/4 coming into this meet. And a brush with the chest, and he is over and celebrating. As I watched him go down the runway, I saw the last 3 steps or so, it looked like he had a little bit of a misstep. I think there was any chance he was even going to go for the bar on that one. And then Scott Henning, same situation, 18.8 3/4 personal best coming into this meet. And at 19 feet a quarter inch, he's over with a slight brush. It's 2 Americans over 19 feet a quarter inch indoors. Been a while since we've had that. Hugging Pat Manson there, the 2-time Pan American gold medalist. And now watch this with Scott Henning. Very nice hip height right over the bar. He hit it with his legs on the way up and right under his arms on the way down, but it stays on. He's a happy guy, but they got to keep on jumping. Bars going up to 19.4 1/4.
All right, Dwight, thanks for that pole vault report as we get set for the women's 400-meter race. This race featuring Natasha Kaiser Brown, who has run the fastest time by an American this year.
She's had injuries that have kept her from reaching her full potential over the past few years, but I think that she's ready now. She ran a pretty good time earlier this year, and I think that she should be ready to go here and handle these tight curves on this flat track.
And as you look at the lane assignments, you'll see that there are only 4 runners in this women's 400-meter race. Buchanan, Richards, Kaiser, Brown, and Harris. And Sandy Richards of Jamaica, 2-time Olympic finalist.
7th both times, including last summer in Atlanta, but she was the 1993 World Indoor Champion, so she's had great indoor success. 2nd at the Millrose Games 2 weeks ago.
as tall as Kaiser Brown is, I think I'd have chosen outside lane. She's on the inside, which could be a detriment.
Natasha Kaiser Brown is 5'9".
Not all athletes get to choose what lane they're in, Michael, like you do.
That's right. Michael does cast a long shadow when he wants an inside lane or an outside lane. He says, that's what I want. And again, this is a two-lap, two-turn stagger race. And it is Sandy Richards now being challenged by Natasha Kaiser Brown.
Richards did the right thing, I think, to hold her off there, because Kaiser Brown made a big move to try to get by, used the effort, so why not just step it up a little bit and hold her off?
Right. That was a mistake also by Kaiser Brown in not taking the full effort and going ahead. When you commit to it, you got to go with it.
Coming for the finish into the straightaway, Sandy Richards showing the way. Natasha Kaiser Brown there second, Buchanan, and then Harris. Sandy Richards and Natasha Kaiser Brown. Richards to win.
Very smart race by Richards. She ran a pretty even race, broke for the pole, held Natasha Kaiser Brown out there as long as she possibly could on that second curve, or actually the third curve.
And then just had the strength to hold on. Didn't look so good in terms of form towards the end, but used her strength to get her to the finish line.
And don't forget, coming up later, Gail and Gwen ready to begin this year's rivalry. At last summer's U.S. Olympic trials, Gwen Torrence was the hometown favorite, but Gail Devers came in as defending Olympic champion. Torrence won the trials final and moved one step closer to the prize that eluded her, a gold medal. Their showdown here in Fairfax is still to come. Welcome back to Fairfax and the Mobil Invitational, part of the USA Track and Field Indoor Series. Men's mile official results. Julius Achon, second straight year, the winner. His time 3:57.41. And in the women's 400 meters, Sandy Richards led from start to finish, 52.42, defeating Natasha Kaiser Brown. And coming up next, we'll have the men's 800-meter run. Rich Kanah will be in here trying to atone for a disappointing 1996. Looked good at Millrose a couple of weeks ago.
Rich Kanah finished 4th in the Olympic trials. It's no worse place to finish because you just missed the team by 1 place, but he's had an excellent indoor season, including that Millrose win. He's a local guy, ran for Georgetown.
And Michael, anytime that Mark Everett's in the field, you expect to see him charging from behind late in the race.
Definitely. He's a strong late race finisher. He's got good 400-meter speed. Problem with Mark Everett is you never know which Mark Everett's going to show up at the race.
Well, you've showed up here, and while we have you sort of trapped here between us, you know, we know that you dropped down from 400 to 200, but there's been some speculation that maybe you might go up to 800 sometime. Is there any plans for that?
I don't know who's speculating that. Maybe my coach.
It was Craig.
It's something that I probably do before the end of my career. Training for it may be a little tough for me being a sprinter, but I'd like to do it before my career is over.
All right, a collective sigh of relief from the other 800 runners. There's the start list, and you're looking at Rich Kanah. As he said, he looked pretty good at Millrose a couple of weeks ago, but that disappointing 4th place at the Olympic trials, the worst possible. He had planned to retire, in fact, after that, but with that disappointment, has kept his career going. He was indoor champion way back in 1992.
Keep your eye on the 3 guys in green as George Mason has all 3 of their top 800-meter runners in this race, and a former runner, Mario Vernon Watson from Jamaica, right there in the red, just went off the screen, also in this field, all either current or former George Mason athletes.
And a former Virginia Commonwealth athlete, Bruce Berger, is the rabbit, the pacemaker in this race. And surprisingly, that's Mark Everett in second place. Usually he's way back in the back of the field early.
A very uncharacteristic start for Mark Everett, but this is usually when he does a lot better. When he starts at the front, he usually finishes at the front. Sometimes he goes directly to the back, and that's where he usually finishes.
So Berger, the rabbit, opens up the big lead. Everett is there second. Mario Vernon Watson, the former George Mason athlete, and then Rich Kanah in 4th place.
Kanah came from behind to win the Millrose games just off the last turn. And I think that Everett's doing the right thing. It's been a long-time philosophy of mine that if you have good 400-meter speed and you're running the 800, you need to use that speed early. It's much easier for a good 400-meter runner to go out than a miler type stepping down.
And there goes the former Gator, Mark Everett, who moves out now to take the lead as the Rabbit Bruce Berger drops for the wayside. Mark Everett in front with Vernon Watson there, and coming up Sammy Biwat and Rich Kanaa.
This is a very dangerous position for all the other runners with Mark Everett. But this is probably going to be Mark Everett's race.
Well, he leads it now, and they're in the final turn. Rich Kanaa in second, but not gaining any ground as they hit the home straightaway. Here's Mark Everett in front, sneaking a peek back at Rich Kanaa in second and not gaining any ground. Mark Everett to win.
And an excellent time on a flat track, 1:47.43.
That's the best time in the world this year for an American. If Mark Everett could do that more often, he could be one of the best 400-meter, 800-meter runners in the world because of his 400-meter speed and the kind of endurance he's got. He's got a great work ethic as well. It just doesn't always show up in the competition.
And for more action from the center of the field house, the field events, let's go back to Dwight Stones.
All right, Tom, an unusual situation. The pole vault, two of the vaulters at the American record having to jump off. This is Scott Henning, who came into this meet with an 18.8 3/4 personal best, and his third attempt at the American record, not bad at all. He's got to be very, very happy about that attempt. This event's so hard on the athletes, they both decided to just tie, not jump off. So they tie for first place, Scott Henning and Dean Starkey, and Lojo, Lawrence Johnson, third at 18.8 1/4.
All right, thank you very much, Dwight. And of course, remember, round one for 1997, Gwen and Gail, is coming up shortly. Last summer in Atlanta, the rivalry between Gwen Torrence and Gail Devers had peaked with their long-awaited battle to determine the world's fastest woman. In yet another photo finish, Devers outleaned Merlinati and Torrence to defend her title, while Gwen took the bronze. Their first meeting of 1997 is next. Fairfax, Virginia, the men's 800-meter official results. Mark Everett, 1:47.43. Rich Kanaa taking second. Gail Devers, because of a financial appearance fee mix-up, was not on hand at the Millrose Games, but is here to face Gwen Torrence today at the Mobil Invitational. Gwen was a narrow winner at Millrose. But before we get to that confrontation, we have the men's 60-meter dash. And in this race will be Michael Green of Jamaica from Clemson University, and he has the fastest time in the world thus far this year.
Michael Green always seems to run well in this particular meet. Has won here previously and ran that good race over in France just last week.
And there's another Green here, Maurice Green, who was second at Millrose.
He's one of the younger U.S. sprinters, and hopes lie up on him and some other guys to get the U.S. back on top in the 100 meters. He's coached by John Smith, which should give him some maturity, and that's the kind of maturity that it takes to win at this level.
And speaking of young up-and-coming sprinters, there's one in lane 6, Tim Harden, who was the NCAA indoor champion twice. So Michael Green lane 3, Maurice Green lane 5, Tim Harden lane 6. And with Harden, a matter of confidence, huh?
Right. He's another young U.S. hopeful, and hopefully this indoor season can help him regain his confidence, the confidence that he probably lost as a member of that 4x100-meter relay at the Olympics last summer. A lot of people blamed him for the reason that we lost.
You blamed the coach, I believe.
I blame the coach. I think that we should have had a lot more experience in there, and guys like Carl Lewis and Dennis Mitchell, who've done this thing for years, should have been on that relay.
Watch the start of Michael Green in lane 3. That's how he's been winning this race in recent years.
Set.
Fair start. It is Maurice Green, Michael Green, and they hit the wire. It looked like it. Michael Green and Randall Evans finishing 1-2, but Michael Green with a pretty even race. Randall Evans and Maurice Green. Let's look at the replay of the finish.
Michael Green's in good position here. Maurice Green's in great position to take over, but Michael Green, actually Randall Evans in great position to take over. Michael Green's the veteran and just finish strong.
It really seemed like it was the early part of the race. He didn't have a big lead off the start, but from about 10 to 30 meters, really established himself in the race and then hung on for the win. He maintained his speed well, Michael.
This wasn't a great start by Michael Green, which we're used to. He normally gets a great start, and that's usually what wins the races for him. But I think that having won so many races, he didn't need it today and still was able to use that confidence and come in and win the race.
All right. Here are the results in the men's 60 meters. Michael Green, 6.53, Randall Evans, and Vince Henderson claiming third. We're going to take one more break, and you know what's going to happen after that. We'll be back with round one, Gwen versus Gail.
The USA Indoor Track and Field Series is brought to you by Visa, a proud supporter of USA Track and Field. It's everywhere you want to be. By Mobil, the energy to make the difference. And by Prescription Strength Lotrimin AF for athlete's foot. It's the killer cure.
Welcome back to the George Mason Fieldhouse, the Mobil Invitational, Fairfax, Virginia. Ready for the women's 60-meter race. Gail Devers is the American record holder. Gwen and Gail forever linked in track and field history now. Their rivalry, sometimes bitter, seemed to take on a new dimension after the '96 Olympics. Off the track anyway, it seemed to be without some of the sharp edges. And as we get set for the 1997 renewal of their series, let's reflect on memorable moments from the recent past. Gwen Torrance and Gail Devers, each driven by the other. Gwen has proven to the world that she can be the fastest woman on any given day, but has yet to prove it at this sport's biggest event. In her hometown, the Atlanta Olympics were meant to be Gwen's moment. But like the Barcelona Games, Gail stole the spotlight and Gwen's Olympic glory.
It is the best to have the best in the race, and you just raise to another level. For whatever shape I think I'm in when it comes to me competing against Gail, I hope I can rise to another level and bring out something that I may not have, but because she's in the race, who knows what can happen. Because I would like to be the winner.
There's Gail Devers, not competing at Millrose because of that mix-up in appearance money. No appearance money here. Prize money, the winner gets $3,000. The question mark about Gail now, Carol, is her condition.
Her condition, definitely. She ran over in Germany, did not run very well, but the main concern is her right hamstring. And I talked to Greg Foster, her manager, just a few minutes ago. He said the problem is they don't know how Gail is. She's very upbeat, but they gave it a little test beforehand. He said if it felt okay, she was going to go. They just really wish that it would either pull or show that it's fine so that she can move on with her season this year.
And Gwen Torrance. Gail, by the way, is getting some appearance money to be here. Here's Gwen Torrance. And Gwen looked good as she won the Millrose Games a couple of weeks ago.
Well, I think she's having a lot more fun now, Tom, with the pressure of being the hometown favorite last year at the Olympics and all of the fanfare that was going on with that. I think it was a lot of pressure for her. It was a lot of pressure for all of us, and I think that a lot of us just couldn't have fun competing last year as we used to. But now, Gwen, I think she's using this indoor season as just a big sigh of relief from the Olympics last summer, and you can see it in her attitude that she's just having a great time out there again and looking forward to competing against Gail Devers, because she knows that if she loses here, there'll be another chance to beat Gail Devers. But there was not another chance after that Olympic final. There's 4 years from now.
Nice to see her smiling again, too. And I think she felt the whole weight of Atlanta, her hometown, last summer. Don't forget, though, in lane 5, Carlette Guidry, capable of beating Gwen or Gail. DeAndre Hill, lane 2, Gwen Torrance 3, Gail Devers 4, Carlette Guidry 5, with Zundra Fagan in 1 and Melinda Sargent in 6, bracketing the favorites.
You know, Tom, I spoke with Gwen a few minutes ago, and she said sometimes when you're having such fun, you can run so much better. You're so much more relaxed, and you can just go out there and do what you're supposed to do.
As Gail and Gwen get to looking at each other and focusing too much on each other, Carlette Guidry can be a dangerous factor in this race.
In fact, at Millrose 2 weeks ago, Carlette appeared to be right there with Gwen Torrence. It took a photo to separate them, and throughout her career, Ms. Turbo, the former Texas All-American, has been world-class for sure, and 2 times has taken home an Olympic gold medal in the 4x100.
On your mark.
Gwen didn't get a great start in that race in Millrose. She actually got caught kind of sitting in the blocks, but she has an improved start over last year, and maybe we'll see that here today. She's going to need it against Gail Devers.
Well, she said she hasn't done the hard work she usually does going into an indoor season because it was a lot of pressure in Atlanta, and she's trying to just relax and get back to where she is, but she is focusing on the world indoors and outdoors.
I see that Gail hasn't trimmed her nails since last summer.
Set.
Gwen Torrence in 3, Gail Devers in 4. It's Devers, Gail Devers. Yes, her condition is good.
Well, obviously it is good, but one thing for Gwen Torrence, she stumbled very badly out of the blocks. And right there, she told me before the race, she said, I have got to get out of the blocks if I expect to beat Gail Devers. She did not do that, but she did run a good race after she got up into her running form.
It looked like Gwen got a good reaction to the gun, but once she got out, that second or third step, which is the most important after you react to the gun, didn't work for her at all.
Gwen looks very good here, but look at Gail Devers. Obviously, that leg is good. Greg Foster said before the race she was going to go out and she was going to sprint a hard one and see how it goes. You see Gail Devers, third in on your screen, got out very well. You see Gwen Torrence stumbling right there. Her chest has dropped a little bit. You cannot get into good running form when your chest is that low.
Well, sometimes after you've got such a good reaction to the gun, it's kind of hard to recover, and I think that's what happened with Gwen.
So Gail Devers wins in the fastest time by an American this year, 7.07. Torrence second and Guidry third. Now let's go to New York and join Dan Hicks in our update studio.
This is the